is traveling this week, and we're also missing another member, John, as well, too. But we have a quorum, so we're going to call tonight's meeting to order. The meeting is being recorded, and I do ask, it's a public meeting, so at some point, we'll be getting public input, and if it's your turn to address the commission, the individuals that all come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we'll record that. But the first item that we have in tonight's meeting is basically, looking at the agenda, is what's called the open session citizen concerns. And we have a couple items there already. We've got a report from our planning board liaison to the commission. And Chris, if you could come up and give us a report from planning board, that'd be appreciated.
Good evening. So this week, tomorrow at the planning board, we will be discussing the housing production plan and hopefully endorsing it this week. The Chelmsford Mall and Riverneck projects are going to be continued. We won't have discussion on those this week. The new public hearings that we'll be hearing is 42 Billerica Road and 152 Stedman. We'll be wrapping up our zoning public hearings for the September 8th Select Board meeting, where they're going to finalize the town meeting warrant. So we'll be closing that out this week. We'll be discussing, or available on the agenda, probably not much discussion, is the annual town report for the planning board. So if people want to see what the planning board has done this year, that is linked on our agenda. We will be forming the managed growth strategy committee, or starting to discuss that formation. We'll probably settle on the membership on our September 6th meeting, and then kick it off the second meeting in September. We do not have any other August meetings, so the second August meeting we have canceled due to vacations, but we will be having this week and then the two in September.
Good. And I note that you're looking for someone from the Conservation Commission to join the Managed Growth Strategy Task Force.
Yep.
Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about what might be involved as far as that, the commitment, the time maybe?
Sure. We're looking to appoint a task force of, we're thinking around 12 people is what we're casting a net. We're trying to get representation from a number of different areas. There are a lot of people that overlap those areas, so the actual membership may be a little smaller. We're looking for one Conservation Commission member, one Select Board, one person from the 2020 Master Plan or Master Plan Implementation Committee, two Strategic Plan Committee members, two town meeting reps, two residents at large. And then we'll have I think one or two people from the planning board on that committee as well. We're going to kick off the group in late September. We have applied for a grant to fund this managed growth strategy. We're hoping to hear back some word on that in October. If that grant does get granted, we'll be using that money to hire a consultant who will help us develop that managed growth strategy. And this task force will be getting together before that happens, come up with some goals for the task force. The planning board will essentially act as the steering committee, and the task force will be selecting the consultant to be working with, and then gathering all of the data from the strategic plan, from the master plans that have been implemented, gathering all the data and working on a strategy for how Chelmsford wants to grow in the future or not grow. It's really about managing the growth to how Chelmsford needs that growth to be handled. So that's the task at hand. How the committee, or how frequently the committee meets, will be left up to the committee to figure that out, depending on what work needs to be done. We think it'll probably be about 6 months to a year, depending on the work, and we're looking for essentially a document that will help guide a number of different areas in the planning board area, as well as some of the work that the strategic plan has pulled together.
Very good, very good. Let's see if the commissioners have any questions right now for Chris on what's going on in the planning board. Peter?
Just a simple question. Is the idea that this committee would then work with, for example, representatives from the water department or sewer or finance? I'm thinking of the things that are important relative to growth. It's more than that, but is that the idea that those experts within town government would be brought in somewhere as opposed to being a regular member of the
Yes.
committee?
Yeah. The first task of the task force is going to be to pull all of the information together that has been compiled. Some of it has already been done for the strategic planning process. Some of it has been done for other things in town. So we're going to pull all of that together, see where the gaps are, and then pull in additional people to provide information on those gaps if needed. Compile everything, pull in the experts again to provide advice and direction on specific areas, and then come up with a strategy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good, good. I mean, I think it's obviously managed growth is important to the town, conservation. It's important for us to have someone at the table to talk about, managing that growth and having, avoiding any, negative impacts on the environment or the interest that conservation is concerned about. So does anyone at this point have a strong interest in serving yet? Want to raise your hand to do this yet? I mean, we can circle back later tonight and talk about it again. All right, maybe we'll talk about it a little later then.
Yeah, and you have another meeting or two before we do.
All right, good.
So we can always have you guys discuss it the
Chris,
next
this
meeting.
isn't just managing commercial growth, right?
This is managing all growth in town. So part of this will feed back into a redesign of the housing production plan as well. We're starting the housing production plan a little earlier before this because we kind of have to, but our plan is to figure out how much growth the town needs to have from a financial perspective, how much the growth the town wants to have, how much can we afford, how much do we need to actively manage it in all of the different areas like ecology and planning and things like that, and then let that document feed into some of the other areas like the housing production plan, the sewer production, things like that.
If I could just add, this was a big question that the strategic plan committee addressed and realized it was big.
Good.
So they assigned it to the planning board, and we're creating this task force.
The strategic plan may or may not have actually assigned it to you.
Good.
Chain of command.
Very good. Any more questions for Chris? All right, thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. This is our open session. So if somebody in the audience, either right here present in the room or on the zooming in, has a question for us, it relates to something that's not on tonight's agenda, just raise your hand and let us know and identify your name and address for the record. I don't see anybody in the room, so that's okay. So we'll move along. We have a really full agenda tonight. We have a number of regulatory hearings, and we're going to move forward. The first item we have under the regulatory hearings is a notice of intent for Mr. Dylan Lee, 4 Russell Road. Matthew Hammer of Landplex LLC is representing the applicant. If we could just have the legal notice read into the record first, and then what we'll do is we'll have the legal notice, we'll have a presentation from the applicant to the commission. We'll have questions from the commissioners and comments, and then we'll turn to the audience because it's a public hearing, and we'll have a chance for questions, and we'll take it from there. So, legal notice, please.
Thank you, Chris. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, which is Chapter 187, the Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, tonight, Tuesday, August 12th, at 7 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by property owner Dylan Lee for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands and Freeman Lake at 4 Russell Road, further identified as Assessor Parcel Map 12, Block 29, Lot 5. The project entails construction of an addition to a single-family dwelling.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. All right, and now we'll have the applicant identify himself and give us a presentation.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer. I'm
Do
with,
you have to go in front of the mic?
No, there's one hanging from the
One
ceiling.
there? Oh, well then, sorry.
Modification.
Good to clarify. That's good to clarify that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hammer. Please proceed.
yes, I'm with Lamplex Engineering. We're at 60 Fletcher Street, Lowell, Mass. We're here this evening for a notice of intent filing for 4 Russell Road, which is at the corner. The portion that we'll be focusing on is at the corner of Russell and Groton Road, and the parcel extends back over to what is called Cart Path Road, which consists of approximately 2.5 acres. The owner of the property is Dylan Lee in Lower Luna. They currently reside at 20 Russell Road, and we're here for a notice of intent. So we've been in front of the commission and we've appreciated all the input from the commission. We've had multiple meetings with Mr. David Coons about this development. And we feel as though we have a proposal for you this evening that's going to take into account all of those interactions with the town. So existing on the property is a cleared grassed area with wooded vegetation, and there's an existing structure on the property. There's also a utility pole that has an overhead wire that brings electricity into the property, and there's also an existing sewer and a water line presently for the property as well. We've come to find out that, in fact, somebody lived on this property before. There's been a building permit that was issued for this property, in that we know that someone actually lived in this building, even though it's small. Somebody did live there at one time, as far back as recent as 1983. We are proposing. Oh, excuse me. We've retained the services of Norse Environmental. They've delineated the wetlands, which are shown here, which is identified as wetland flag A1 through A6. This is Russell Road here. There's a right-of-way here. It's private. But what we also did with this colored plan, the other plan that we had looked at before, it gets confusing if it's not colored. But what's shown here is the actual paved road, which comes off of the private way over here into the property. So that was important for us to show you that. The property line is actually here. This plan here shows you an overview of the entire property. That's here. One of the tasks that was asked of us was to show or do an analysis of the wetland behind the property to see if that wetland qualified as an isolated land subject to flooding per the Wetlands Protection Act. Okay. So we provided a submittal with our report, which shows the total contributing area to the low-lying area back here, as well as a hydrologic analysis of that contributing area. And in order for to qualify as an isolated land subject to flooding, you have to have 0.25 acre feet of volume. And that's per section 10.57 subsection 2B.1. This area behind here has 0.008. So that's 30 times under what would be classified as an isolated land subject to flooding. And that analysis has been provided with the report. Additionally, the area that we're proposing to be restored by the removal of the structure and to restore that area that was prior disturbed here, we've retained Norse Environmental to do a wetland restoration report. That report's been submitted to the commission, and there's a summary of that report, the tree, shrub, and wetland mix distribution in that area. And that area to be restored will be 1,315 square feet approximately. And that's shown here as across
How many square feet did you say?
1,315 square feet.
1350.
Yeah. So we'll be removing an impervious structure, and we'll be restoring that area. Okay. The proposal is to propose this dwelling here. That dwelling has a footprint of approximately 433 square feet. And essentially it's gonna be what you've heard of in the past, are these tiny homes. It's gonna be a total aggregate square footage of 900 square feet of floor area. But the actual footprint is 433. And that footprint is in an area that's already been disturbed. I just wanna make note of that, so there won't be any cutting of any trees to put that house where it's located. Additionally, that house location will be out of the 50-foot buffer to the wetland here. Conversely, by moving it out of the 50-foot buffer, it'll be 14 feet from the front lot line. And we'll be required to go and obtain a variance from the Chelmsford Zoning Board of Appeals for that setback of proposed as 14 feet, where 20 feet is required. We've gotten some feedback, and we feel as though that's gonna be justifiable because a lot of those homes are close to the right of way. So we feel as though that we have a neighborhood setback that will be similar to the setback that we're gonna be proposing. Additionally, since we've made the filing, National Grid has, they put a request in, and I believe the conservation agent is well aware of this, that because of the close proximity to the overhead utility wire, this tree that was decaying and dying has been since taken down. And I think Mr. Coons can agree with me on that, that's gone through the proper channels to have that tree removed.
You've mentioned the, how far you're gonna be in the back of the building. You relocated the building forward to get it out of the 50-foot wetlands. What is it? You didn't give us a dimension on the front.
Oh, 14 feet, sorry.
No, from the lake.
Oh, the lake, that'll,
29.
what's that?
No, I'm sorry. I'm muttering to
Yeah,
myself.
but let's see if we can hold our questions. Let's kind of.
Oh, okay. I just didn't wanna roll past it without having.
Yeah, I will,
Okay,
it's 40-something.
okay,
It's less than 50.
okay.
Let's speak to that, because we feel as though that this house will not adversely affect Freeman Lake because of the fact that there's a roadway between us and Freeman Lake, and that the activities here will in no way adversely affect Freeman Lake. So that's, even though it's within the 50 feet, we feel as though the wetland that's the highest priority would be the direct adjacent wetlands to the development. Additionally, the parking areas that we're gonna be proposing is gonna be put on a material called geogrid. I don't know if any of the commission members are familiar with geogrid, but essentially it's a H20 loading material. It's plastic, honeycomb shaped holes that sits on processed gravel. That is filled with 2 inches of loam, and then it can be grassed, and you can drive on it. And it's shown to be a proven green, we call it a green method of reducing impervious space, and it's a fully draining system. Secondly, the roof runoff will be put into trench drains so that all of the developed surface will be fully infiltrated into the soils. So whatever was raining before and going into the soils will still be the case after the development. I want to note that the project has been issued a DEP file number. The file number is 129-0971, so that has been issued by Mass DEP. And Mass DEP did not have any comments related to the development on their review. Additionally, as you may or may not recall, Mr. Lee has gone through quite some effort to solve the drainage problem that was currently existing down off of Cart Path Road where it intersects with Russell Road. There were years of flooding activity, primarily focused in this area here. And Mr. Lee went and had those lines cleaned out, had those catch basins repointed, repaired. We also conducted a full drainage analysis of that repair, and we made a submission to the conservation agents, or the Conservation Commission for that matter, to show that effort solved the drainage problem that was going on here for quite some time. And he took that and he did that on his own effort, and it was substantiated with stamped drainage designs or drainage analysis to show the full functionality of that system. Additionally, it's not shown on this plan, but we know that on Cart Path here, there's a history of people going up and down Cart Path and wanting to dump debris and material off of Cart Path that affects the wetland area here. We will install a full split rail fence with signage identifying that there's no dumping allowed per the wetlands that are adjacent to that area, and that split rail fence would be installed, and the responsibility of the property owner to maintain that over time. And I can put it to the commission for any questions you may have, and I can answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Hammer. We'll start with the commissioners. We'll start left to right here. Bill, if you can lead us off, please.
All right, let's see. The size of the house
how deep is the house front to back?
It's 12 feet.
12?
Yeah. Thank you. This is Dylan Lee.
Yeah.
When you speak, you have to
Oh,
get up to the podium. So
Sorry.
12,
12
approximately
feet.
12 feet, yes.
So you would require a waiver for us from the lake, right?
Correct.
Of how many feet?
I will have to get you that exact dimension, but I believe it's going to be about 8 feet.
8 feet?
Yes.
That's dependent on Board of Appeals allowing you to be, how many, 6 feet closer?
14, yes, 6 feet closer.
6 feet
yes,
closer?
That's correct.
So they require 20 feet?
That's correct.
Okay, so that would maybe change,
Yes,
it's gonna depend on that.
yes.
Okay. You've got, it shows here the house is 32 feet tall.
Yes.
Can you show us, how do you get the 32 feet?
To its tallest point.
So is it a foundation under it, or is it on piers, or stilts, or?
It's on stilts.
Yeah, I can adjust that.
So can you drive under the house, or is that
No,
the
you
plan?
cannot. You cannot.
So what's the first floor? Cellar? Basement?
There's no basement.
So the first floor is living space, and you've got,
Yes,
and then the 32 feet,
yes,
there's something above that?
correct.
Living space, or those 3 floors of living space?
Yeah, so I can work through this. So this is the first floor. The entrance is down at the end here.
Yeah.
There's a set of stairs that goes up to the second floor. There'll be a crawl space underneath, probably 30 inches in order for the utilities. This is the second floor. And then this is coming up to the roof, and there's a side section that shows on the elevation on the side. I have some other elevations. And that view.
So how would you construct the foundation, the piers? How is that,
Those will be dug in with sonotubes.
sonotubes?
Yep, and brought up, and then there'll be a frame put on top of that.
All right. Have you done any testing, deep hole testing out there to see where the water table is?
We know that
Down a
we'll-
couple feet, right?
Yeah, the water table is
The
only
lake.
down like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you needed the watering plan and stuff, too?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. That'll be enough.
So for now,
Chris.
all right, but we can come back to you later.
Yeah.
Mark, you're done for.
Okay, the way it looks, the way it is now, it's just functioning wetland behind it, correct? And you're looking for a waiver in the front to bring it within, for 8 feet. I don't see any advantage to making this land any better by putting a house on it. It's functioning the way it is. It's gonna be, a structure isn't our problem. We can't get involved in that, I get that, for height. But I don't see, we have to be consistent, because we refused people that came with waivers within 50 feet in just our last meeting, and I don't feel comfortable approving this, even though you did a tremendous amount of work on it. I get that, and you've taken every consideration. It's just not something that I feel comfortable with right now.
Chris, can I ask one?
Let's just, when
When you're done.
That's all.
Yeah, can I, if I can?
Yeah, come back up to the mic, please, sir, and just, again, name, address for the record.
Here, I'll try not to hide behind you too much. So Dylan Lee, 20 Russell Road. And yeah, I know there's other projects you guys have had move out of the 50-foot buffer. You know, I think there's a lot of betterment to this, and I'll kind of go down the list. The first is anytime there's a vacant lot, it just attracts trouble, right? So one of the issues lately is that since they station a cop at Varney Park, when the teenagers get chased out of there, they run through the pathway, they open the fence, they come down Russell Road, and then they'll go and drink behind my shed and leave beer bottles, trash. You're welcome to go back to that shed and see the carvings of all the names of who was here. And it also goes the same for the people that drive over from Lowell. And nothing against Lowell, I own properties there as well. But, the people selling drugs in Lowell used to park at Varney Park, meet there, exchange, and go. Now that there's a cop sitting there, they see a perfect open lot on a private road. And it puts me in a position where, I'm asking these type of people to leave, and it doesn't go that well. And I don't think I should be in that position. I don't think any of my neighbors should deal with cars just slowly cruising down the road and looking at everyone's property. Nobody has to deal with that. Thirdly, the VFW, a lot of people go and fish over there. Obviously, it's grown up tremendously, right? So there's not as many spots left to fish. And I happen to own 2 areas of almost 300 feet of beachfront that are probably the most clear places to fish, one of which is right in front of this house. And I've got signs up. People don't listen. They leave fishing lures there that get caught in my lawnmower. I had to go to the emergency room to get a fishing lure out of my calf. The teenagers that drive by, since all of them vape now, they see it as a great place to toss a vape, which again will get caught in my mower. And one of these days I'm going to lose a limb. And then aside from that, it does benefit Freeman Lake because everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people walk their dogs down Russell Road, and that's fine. But they don't know who owns that lot, and it just becomes a public bathroom for everyone's dog. And Freeman Lake has a phosphorus issue, and one of the sources for phosphorus is pet waste. I can't tell you how much I drive over for my first mow of the season. There's no way for me to pick it all up. And so putting a house there, I can put a stop to all of that. And so that's why, in my opinion, it is a betterment.
All right, thanks, Mr. Lee. Mark, you got any more questions right now?
Not right
comments?
now, no.
Bill,
Yeah.
can we hold you for a second, if that's all right? Give everybody else a chance.
Could I add one, excuse me, Vice Chair? One thing we felt as though was a benefit was removing and restoring all the property that's being currently disturbed over towards the wetlands, which is all in here. So we believe that this is a betterment by moving all this and restoring this and putting this modest home. The other thing is that we felt as though because the roadway is between the lake, that could be unique enough to differentiate that waiver being granted from other submissions that have been put before the commission.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Hammer, for your comments there. Let's move on then. Mark, you're good?
I have for now.
Alessandra?
Yeah, like Mark had just said, obviously there's a concern about the frontage of the property, and I can understand your plight about the issue with people cutting through and things like that. It's obviously an issue on Mallory and Shore Drive as well. In terms of moving that and then setting that up in the front, I mean, would it stop people from cutting through? I don't know. Again, I can understand your plight from the public safety side of it, but again, this is, Conservation Commission, so. That being said, I do appreciate the split rail fence over on the cart path area and, taking on the responsibility of cleaning that area up, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alexander. And Peter?
Well, thanks, Al. You summarized some of what I was thinking. Mark, I understand what you're saying, but I was going to ask a question, but you answered it. The phosphorus from the dog poop, if one was to look at scientific literature or do some measurements, I think that probably is a big deal. Not for the whole Freeman Lake, but we got all this lake study and town money being spent on treating the lake, and the biggest problem is phosphorus. I mean, when you strip it all down, it's phosphorus coming into that lake from different places, not just dog poop. So to me, that is a big environmental improvement. I like the wetland improvement, and I'm familiar with the GeoGrid for parking. we should talk more about that. It's not new, but it's not commonly used. So that may not be an improvement per se, to Mark's point, but you're not paving that area, so that's great. I like the wetland improvements, and that leads me to two questions. Again, keying off Mark's comment, the betterment question. Trees that are there presently on that side yard, what is the plan for those? I don't see them on the plan. That's one of three questions I have, yeah.
There's 0 trees being removed. Most of the trees behind, so the prior owner, the Davenports told me probably cut somewhere in the neighborhood of 70, 80 trees.
I remember that.
And so, one of the things we haven't talked about is I'll probably be planting more trees along Car Path Road as well to fill it in, because it's a bit of a stump farm, and it's eroded their property. But part of the reason I did go with this design is so I didn't have to remove any trees. And they're all really healthy. And Dave, you were there at the site visit. Like, the trees around there are actually doing really well. The one that was by the power lines was just, destroyed by carpenter ants, woodpeckers. And then when they snow plow, they would basically, when they're coming down Groton Road and they would cut onto Russell Road, that was a choke point. So they would push the snow right up onto that tree. And I think between that and then paving more and more onto the root system year over year is probably what killed it. But part of the plan is to fill that back in with trees, because if you do go back there, you can see the stumps and stuff like that. So it'll only be addition of trees, no subtractions.
Yeah, so that's not this particular property, it's your other property, right?
It's technically the same.
Oh, it is because of the way
it's
the
all one
shape.
big lot. Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you kind of zoom out, this is
Yeah.
actually a 2.7 acre lot.
So back to this betterment question, showing those on the plans and making a firm commitment to do that would be good.
Sure.
And then the other tree question, there's a couple, I think of, you saw them, David, when you were out there, a couple of big tree of heavens that,
Yeah.
we don't really know what to do with those because the trouble is they take over, but, think about
Yeah.
removal.
I had an arborist come out, and I can't remember the name they gave me, but they're actually not tree of heavens.
So I've got that wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, they're just commonly mistaken. Like, from 10 feet, they look like tree of heaven, but the leaf pattern is
Super.
different. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they're okay.
Super. And then my last comment, again, on this whole betterment idea, because I do think you've done a lot of good things. You mentioned that the shoreline has become popular for unauthorized use because it's one of the few clear areas. And replanting the shoreline is actually one of the recommendations of previous lake studies that the town has paid for on what to do about the weeds. So my question, have you given any thought to some sort of shoreline low-level bushes, which would be very good to help that lake pollution thing, very good for habitat and the conservation things we're talking about. And I think with David or Maureen from Norse's help, you could find some native shrubs that don't get too big, because I'm sure
Yeah, I
if it
still
were
want
me,
the
I
view,
wouldn't,
yeah,
I'd
but
be thinking about the view.
To her point, whether there's a house there or not, people are always going to come down that road and try and fish illegally. Like, I sometimes see people literally set up for picnics on my beach, or they're just out on my dock. So there's no foolproof solution on that front. But I hadn't given that any thought. But I mean, it's that's fine with me. I don't mind planting shrubs.
Excuse me, if you sort of landscaped it, think about this, right? If you sort of landscaped it carefully, it would make it a little bit
Oh, yeah,
harder for
better than
somebody
it
to
would
say,
now.
hey, here's vacant land.
Yeah.
Take a look at that.
Yeah.
So I
Happy
would,
to.
I would think that would help this, to Mark's point,
My
this
father owns a
betterment.
landscaping company, and since he's going to commandeer my brick house, I'll make him do it. I don't mind at all. Yeah.
Just ask Maureen for native shrubs.
Yeah.
Then it's a conservation benefit.
Yeah. But I don't mind squeezing in for it.
Yeah. And then my last question, I guess there's lawn here. How big is the lawn?
It's really where it's not, well, the lawn is actually probably bigger than just about everyone's yard currently in the neighborhood. Like, if someone has the survey in front of them, but it is a 2.7 acre lot, but the actual open grass area is, it's pretty large. I would say it's almost larger than just the open grass area than my house on 20 Russell Road, to be honest.
Yeah, so again, I'm not sure where we're going with asking you to modify the plans. We can talk about that. But back to Mark's point of betterment, if you gave up, I don't know, 30% of that for trees and shrubs or some significant number, that is a huge ecological benefit to the critters and the things we're here to
Yeah,
protect.
because if you really look at this, I mean, not to make it overly simplistic, but the way to think about this project is I'm taking this structure and basically moving it here and adding 1.5 levels to it. That's basically it. This is a 220 square foot shed. This is a 900 square foot house. That would make it the smallest house on the largest lot. And aside from my front setback, it would actually be the only house in the entire neighborhood that conforms with every ZBA regulation. Every single house on the street would need around 8 variances to be built today, because they're all pre-existing non-conforming. They're on, roughly 4,500 square foot lots, right? But that's just how the neighborhood is. But shifting it here, I think is actually better than what we were originally proposing, because it actually makes the fascia of the house even with my direct neighbor. There's some continuity there. I'm not setting a new standard, if you will. And candidly, I think the way this is shaping up, I'm probably gonna do more planting than actual construction, because, this is a 900 square foot house. We'll build it in 3 months.
Yeah, well, we can talk, again, as a commission, but some of those things I threw out there
Yep.
would dramatically, it would improve the betterment, but there's some other things you've done here that I would call betterment, besides what you mentioned, and I think they were talked about earlier.
No, I agree.
So thank you.
It's the only house that would have a pass-through driveway, right, that's completely porous. Every other house on the street has a blacktop driveway. Every house on the street has a gabled roof end. This is the only one with a flat roof. And so there's a lot of things that are kind of one-off to this. And the picture makes the house look huge. It's not very big. It's quite tiny.
Right, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted, it's important to note that the existing, even though it's a shed, it was a building that was granted a building permit, so someone did live there, even though 222 square feet is small. This is, moving up to a 433 square foot footprint, which isn't tremendously large in terms of its footprint. So that is worth noting.
Yeah, and in terms of ecology, you're infiltrating the water coming off the roof on the new construction and restoring a little chunk of wetlands where the shed was.
Yep.
So it's even more than you're describing.
And
Yeah.
adding my dad to the neighborhood is a net benefit, I will say that.
Okay.
Remember, conservation here. Those are your points for the next meeting.
Any more questions, Peter?
No, but we didn't get David's input.
Oh, we will.
Okay. No, I'm
Absolutely.
good, thank you.
We will.
He forgot about me.
No.
Okay.
We're not gonna forget our
Go down the
agent.
row, thank you.
No. But Bill, back to you, Bill.
Could you just clarify something? In the notice that you read, it said an addition?
It did.
Is that,
It says, I think it should say an addition of a single family, not an addition to a single family.
what do you mean?
I think it's just a typo right on the first page of the notice. Then it
Yeah,
says
or I
addition.
read it wrong.
Yeah, because if
Well,
you look,
if
on
that
the
was
second,
taken-
third page, it just references building a separate single-family home. But in the first sentence that you read.
I didn't know if that had anything to do with how this would go with, as far as Board of Appeals or anything like that?
Yeah,
This-
it's a separate
So it's a new house?
Correct, yeah, it's already got
Right.
an address.
It's not an addition or anything?
No, it's got an address,
Okay.
it's got water, sewer, everything.
The shed that's there now, did somebody lived in, was there a bathroom in there and everything?
Apparently,
Yes, there was.
yeah. In
So we,
1975.
just hold on.
They have a sewer tie-in and everything?
They do.
For that?
They have a sewer tie-in, they have a water service, they have electricity. We have documentation from the building department that there was an occupancy permit on the property in that building.
But you're taking that one down, so,
We're gonna take that down.
yeah. I can see all the improvements you're trying to include in this, but my problem is the 50-foot, that we're not being consistent with other people from the lake. Now, that's where my issue is on this. I
So-
don't know about the other people here, but,
So I
Just so you
think
know.
the way to justify this is we're moving a structure away from the wetland that was currently within the 25-foot setback.
Right, and we just did this on another project where they actually taken a structure down
Yeah.
that was close to the wetlands. But we still required them to keep the house 50 foot from the,
Right. So
So,
I kind
that's-
of look at it like a scale.
yeah.
Okay, the scale's gonna tilt towards betterment and restoration than development.
All right, that's it, Chris.
Espe-
Yep, thank you.
Good,
Yeah.
good. So again, just going back down through the commissioners before we go to our agent. Mark, anything yet before we go to our agent?
No, nothing yet.
Alex, anything? No, good. Peter, something?
Just an observation, this kind of an issue is going to come before us a lot, given this whole growth, no growth conversation. The town's going to end up growing some like this, and we're going to have, all the properties are up against our wetlands. So you can interpret that either way you want, but you know, this is what's happening in
All right.
town.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Coons is our conservation agent, so I now would turn the floor over to Mr. Coons to get some questions or comments from Mr. Coons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the way I think this project should be approached is in the context of the regulations. And I think after really thinking a lot about this, doing research, I think the operative regulation here is this one right here. The reconstruction, alteration, extension, and I think that's the operative word, is extension or structural change of a building is existing on or before October 15th, 1990 shall be exempt from the provisions of section 187.5A. However, said work shall require approval from the Conservation Commission if within its jurisdiction. Now, as has been mentioned several times, we have a building department file going back 50 years that says that this building was used as a dwelling unit. We have, in the building department files, there are applications for hot water heaters, for, plumbing structures. So in my opinion, if this is in fact a dwelling unit, then this regulation comes into play. That this is the applicable regulation, which says that he could, under this regulation, extend that existing structure out there to make it a larger dwelling unit. Now, I've spoken to the building commissioner about this. There's no doubt that it's hasn't been lived in for 2 years, so it's considered abandoned. If it's a dwelling unit, it's considered an abandoned dwelling unit. The question is, would it just need like a certificate of occupancy permit to become a dwelling unit again? If all Mr. Lee had to do was go down to the building department and apply for a CO, and it was awarded, then I think it's in effect, it's effectively a dwelling unit. So I've asked the building commissioner for an opinion, a written opinion on
Good,
this.
good.
It didn't have it.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to have it ready tonight. But I think if word comes back from him that, yeah, this is either a dwelling unit as is, or it could very easily become a dwelling unit, then I think this regulation comes into play. And certainly in that case, if it's something that he could do just by extending the existing structure, it's clear that removing the existing structure, restoring that area, and then moving the house, farther away from that wetland is an improvement. I think, in my opinion, that wetland in back there is by far and away the more sensitive of the two, of either that wetland or the lake. That wetland is by far more sensitive. It's shown as a potential vernal pool on the GIS layer. So that's Again, that's just my opinion with regard to the regulations. Did have another, a couple of other questions, Matt. So I think you mentioned that the foundation will be a 4-foot frost wall with pillars?
No, it's gonna be, they're gonna be sonotubes to a frame that'll construct a crawl space. So there'll be lattice around it to, to establish the crawl space.
Well, but, I mean, there will have to establish the crawl space, there'll have to be walls around it.
It can be
No.
wood, it can be wood. Just
Can be wood.
Just to connect, it's essentially sonotubes that would be similar to a deck. And remember, this is a very small structure, okay? And then between the framing from each sonotube would be wood members that would establish the wall, which would encompass the perimeter for the crawl space.
Okay, so what I'm really getting at, though, is we know that the groundwater is very, very high in that area.
Yep.
So you might even go down just 6 inches and you hit groundwater. So to have the crawl space, you're gonna be displacing groundwater. And it's gonna go one of 3 places. It's gonna stay there in the groundwater, or it's gonna go to Freeman Lake, or it's gonna go to the wetland and back. And trust me, there are a couple people here who absolutely do not want any more water going to that wetland and back. So I mean, it should be a pretty simple calculation, you've already described the volumes. You could make an assumption that all of this displaced groundwater, if it goes to the wetland and back, how high will it raise the water level of that wetland? That's got to be an easy calculation.
Well, it's actually not, because you can't calculate a difference in groundwater with such a vast watershed that consists of sand. So you're talking about a moving watershed underneath the surface that filters through sand, that feeds Freeman Lake. Freeman Lake also has an outlet to that at the weir, and that system's moving. So if you say, okay, I'm gonna add, let's say, 20 cubic feet of displacement below the surface, you would not be able to measure any calculable height difference with such a vast watershed. It's just physically not, that's like if you put that cubic footage into Freeman Lake with the lake rise. You wouldn't be able to calculate it because it's a hair's diameter worth of difference.
Well, I think that answers my question.
No, but it doesn't, because what happens is when you have a subsurface watershed, you would have to identify the full extent of the barrier, the perimeter of the entire watershed, calculate the characteristics of the subsurface groundwater flows, to then add in this 10 cubic feet of material displacement. It would not be a calculable difference that would have any impact on anything.
Well, but again, I think that's answering my question, that there would be essentially if all of this displaced groundwater were to go into that wetland and back, I think you're saying there would be no measurable rise in the water level of that wetland. That's what you're saying.
The wetland's actually fed from groundwater in this particular case and from surface runoff. That establishes the wetland itself. How the water rises and falls in that wetland, it would be an extensive study to even determine what the baseline would be for this small volume displacement of these sonotubes.
I think you're making it more complicated than it really is. All I'm saying is just add the volume that's being displaced by the crawl space and just say how much is that going to cause a water level rise in the wetland and back. I think you're saying it's so small that you couldn't calculate it. I think that's what you're saying.
Well, that's one of the things, but in order to actually have a calculation, you have to have all the integers. to get to the result. And as engineers, if we don't have the baseline of the entire watershed and the permeation rates of the subsurface soils, because that water is moving.
All right, Mr. Hammer, let's, this is good, but let's move it on if we could.
Okay.
Because we've got a public input as well to come to, so we understand.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a
So-
simple question to answer.
So, just the other, and it's already been mentioned a little bit, and I've had conversations with Dylan about this, is doing some additional tree planting in back over on the other side of the property near Cart Path Road. And he sounded like he was agreeable to that.
Yes.
You know, to providing a tree planting plan for that area back there to restore some of those trees that were cut. So, so I think the hearing needs to be continued, you know, pending receipt of the letter from the building inspector. That would be or the building commissioner. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Coons. Appreciate your comments, as always. This is a public hearing, so this is now the opportunity for the public to come up to the microphone, just give us your name, your address, and, you know, ask some questions of the applicants or of the commission. It's best if we try to keep things as factual as possible versus opinion. And we want to try to keep focused on conservation-type issues as far as wetlands, habitat, impact on water and resources and drainage, things like that, versus issues that may not be relevant to conservation. But if anyone would like to come up, yes, please.
Emily Barron, 16 Russell Road. I actually want to talk about the regulation that Mr. Kuntz has brought up. Because if you continue reading it, when it says, however, said work shall require approval from the commission if within its jurisdiction, he kind of glossed over that point, I feel like. And that basically means that Mr. Lee requires approval to do anything, including the alteration or extension. But it doesn't mean that you guys have to approve it. No, it doesn't.
Shall be exempt means that.
No, it
does
said
not have
shall,
to
the
comply.
work shall require approval from the commission
Right.
if it's within its jurisdiction, which doesn't that mean that the 8 feet variance he's requesting is within your jurisdiction?
Well, let me go back to the regulation that it references. So here's 187.5A. The construction of any building as defined herein on any lot having an area of 40,000 square feet or more shall be prohibited within 50 feet of any resource area excluding buffer zones, riverfront area, and land subject to flooding or inundation by groundwater or surface water. The commission may, at its discretion, allow a shed, playhouse, or other structure, provided that it is built on footings requiring no more than 4 square feet cumulative ground disturbance and has a footprint no larger than 144 square feet. So that's regulation 187.5A. So if you come back to here, on E, it says the reconstruction, alteration, extension, or structural change of a building existing on or before October 15th, 1990 shall be exempt from the provisions of 187.5A, meaning it does not have to comply with the 50-foot no-build setback.
But the next sentence still says, however, so meaning whatever, regardless of what the first sentence said work shall still require approval from the commission.
Right, but the commission cannot deny it based on it being within 50 feet.
Can you scroll back up so I can read it again? How big is your lot?
177,222 square feet.
So that's all the deeds put together?
Now I will go on to say that we've got a wetland bylaw committee, the commission's formed. This is one of the primary focuses of new regulations or revisions to regulations that we're looking at.
I mean, I know they said they've seen a building permit for the property from 50 years ago, but I mean, nobody's lived on that property for over 30 years. There's not a toilet in that shed. You couldn't live in that shed at all. For it to turn into a
Well,
house.
If the building commissioner says that all he has to do is, make these minor improvements, A, B, C, to be able to get a certificate of occupancy, that's something the commission will probably take into consideration.
Thank you. Next person. Sir.
I'm gonna move this thing, Chris. I can't see.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Bill. We want to see our speakers as they come up, Thank you. Especially your spots, yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Salerno. I live at 65 Groton Road. I think I have some concerns about, obviously, the flooding and the water. We do see a lot of water going into the wetlands, especially in the spring. We see a lot of the water filling those areas. There are a lot of critters living in there. We've seen everything from the geese, obviously, but we've seen muskrat living in there and lots of salamanders and snakes. So we've seen lots of animals living in that area, and I'd hate to see them disturbed and pushed on. I wanted to address some of the things that I've seen as a resident, and I know you said to keep it factual, but we very rarely see fishing around there. Most people are fishing from the VFW. I have never seen anyone fishing along that road. There are very few people passing through, except for a few families that go up to the playground area. So I think that's perhaps an exaggeration. One of the things I was very concerned about is hearing about the phosphorus. I am a chemistry teacher by trade. Obviously, phosphorus and nitrogen are strong concerns. I would think animal waste is certainly an area of concern, but if this becomes a residence, as I think is suggested, wouldn't somebody be fertilizing their lawn or the waste from trash as well? So there are many more sources of phosphorus than animal waste, and the resident has not said that he's not going to have pets there either, who could just as well make that same waste. So the best reduction in harm, the best betterment, is to support the growth of that area. The other thing that I was very concerned about, Mr. Coons was describing how small sort of putting words in your mouth about how small we can't calculate the water. Well, as a resident, I want the best information possible. I want a calculation. I want the engineers to do their best work. And I think I'm really concerned to hear a pushing off of that while the agent himself is saying he wants to do the work, and you're kind of pushing that off. So I think we had some real concerns about how damaging this project could be. The betterment issues, I mean, that's the first time I've seen the building. It looks real tall, it looks real scary. It's kind of concerning to see that, and I think the lake is beautiful. We want people to see the lake. It makes the community of North Chelmsford that much more engaging and welcoming to people. And I think this thing that I just saw tonight for the first time, kind of scary looking, kind of looks like it's going to block out the lake. I don't know if that's true or not, but it kind of scares me as a resident. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Again, anyone else tonight wants to come up to address the commission? That's all right. So this is, again, public hearing, so we have public input. We have questions from the commission, and we had a little bit of discussion tonight as well, too. Typically, the first meeting's usually got a fact-finding, gathering phase of it. And we heard a strong recommendation from our conservation agent that we really need to continue this hearing until our next meeting to answer some of the questions that were raised and some of the concerns that were raised tonight. Mr. Hammer, back to you.
I agree.
Can I jump in quick to address those concerns?
No, you don't, no. So, Vice Chair, we most certainly want to continue. We'll get some feedback from the building department. We'll also meet with Mr. Coons to go over some of his concerns, as well as take a look at doing some additional vegetation along the shoreline with Norse Environmental, and to see if we can provide a little bit more robust landscaping even on the property itself. We want to make sure that the commission is confident that this development is going to be a betterment to this property And we want you to be able to take the time to agree with us on that, so.
Can I ask one?
Thank you, Mr. Hammer, for the comments. Mark?
Did you receive a letter of denial?
No,
Well, why are you here? Why can't you just get your building permit? If you haven't received a letter of denial, you could go forward with what you want to do.
no, hold on one sec. Well, we're proposing work within the buffer zone to the wetlands.
I understand that,
So
but
we
you
have to
have a letter
come,
of denial because you're going inside the 50-foot setback. That would be outside of his jurisdiction to give you a recommendation. They would have to come to us. Isn't that typically the way you?
Well, we do see that typically, but we still, it's still valid for them to come here first and see us first to
See,
see if they
if-
can get a
if-
permit.
if-
David, would you like to comment further?
Yes, so if a building permit application had been submitted, it would require me to sign off on it.
Right.
And I would say, no, I'm not gonna sign off on it, because it's in the buffer zone. You need to do a notice of intent filing with the Conservation Commission.
So nothing's been submitted as of yet.
No building permit application has been submitted, that's true. But I do think it's important that, Matt, we need something in writing from you about the groundwater displacement issue. That's what, just meeting with me and assuring me that, it's not gonna be a problem, is not good enough. The commission needs to get something from you in writing.
yeah, we can provide an assessment to attempt to answer the question that you're asking. So I'm not saying we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do that. And we'll get you some more details on the construction of the frost wall as well. I think that also needs to be clarified, just to show you how many sonotubes there are, have a volume associated with that, and also to show its potential impacts on the groundwater.
And you're not concerned that the substratum there is not firm enough to be able to support sonotubes? That's not a concern.
That's not a concern.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the public, again, it's a public hearing, so we'll be coming back. We're going to have a motion momentarily to continue to our next meeting. If you have some input that you want this commission to receive, feel free to reach out to our conservation agent, Mr. Coons. You can call him, you can email him, you can send information. He will then distribute that information to the commission, and we can review that information at our next meeting when we continue the hearing. So just so you know, we welcome and value the input and questions. If I could have a motion then to
Can I ask one
continue.
more question?
Yes, Bill? Yeah, go ahead.
We need to continue it anyways, because they gotta go to the Board of Appeals, which, you don't know what they're gonna say about that setback from the road, which may affect this.
Yeah, but they're gonna wanna see the Conservation Commission's decision before they make a decision. Because this is really being made on the basis of wetlands to get the proposed house as far away as possible from that back wetland. So that's why they need the variance for the front setback.
Okay, but that's a reason to continue. That's a reason for us to continue our meeting, because I wanna see, I don't wanna vote on this prior to a Board of Appeals.
Well, they're not gonna vote on it until they get a decision from the Conservation Commission. I hesitate to speak for the ZBA, but I've had enough conversations with staff to know that they want to see the decision from the Conservation Commission first.
And also, prior to the next meeting, I'd like to clarify, it seems like some of this is, because you have that pre-existing building there, that you're talking possibly, we don't need to even worry about the 50-foot, right?
Well, in the sense that it's exempt, yes.
But if that building is being demolished and taken out of there, how does that affect, I'd like some clarification from the building commissioner on that, of you're basing the 50-foot possibly not being an issue because of the existing building that was occupied one time. So just so I can make, it's important to him, it's important to the neighbors that we do this correctly. So it's just like all the information we can get on that. I haven't made up my mind one way or another, but I'd like to get all the information prior to that. And that's one thing that's kind of sticks out of my head, is some of this is being based on that existing building, that it was used as a home at one point. So, just how that, and that it was empty for so long, different issues like that, so.
All right,
That's
thanks. Anybody else before we have a motion to continue? Peter?
Mr. Vice Chair, Chairman, tonight, I'm not sure how the commission wants to proceed, but I'm trying to think if I were the homeowner or the property owner, how can we move this forward quickly? Is there some avenue that the applicant could respond to some of our concerns that we've raised, about lawn size, shrubs, whatnot, with either a verbal commitment at the next meeting that they would accept those things as permit conditions or something, so that we don't end up?
I mean, I think it's always good to have it
there
in
a way to
writing,
speed
and
that
I
up?
would have that communication flow in writing to our agent, and then he can then distribute it to the commissioners. That's how I do it.
Okay, but again, I'm just thinking of Mark's comment, and I feel the same way, the betterment question. You've got a beautiful opportunity to, was it Jeremy or whoever, member of the public, he's right. You start putting lots of phosphorus on grass, that's the opposite direction of what the town's trying to do.
But I don't fertilize my yard.
Not if you have a lot of dogs.
Yeah, there's a difference between one dog cleaning up after them and then the entire neighborhood's dog. And then, I've got videos of the other people on Grove Road emptying their pools into the wetlands.
Should be talking about
All right, okay,
Yep.
okay, good. All right, so can I have a motion then to continue to our next meeting, which is August 26th, 2025?
I move we continue.
Second.
Bill, and we got Peter on the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So August 26th, 2025, 7 PM.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we have a busy agenda tonight. That was our first regulatory matter. Moving on to our second regulatory matter, we have a notice of intent from Pro Generation Energy Incorporated, 152 Stedman Street. Bruce Haskell / Langdon Environmental LLC is listed as representing the applicant. We would also have another legal notice that would need to be entered into the record. Peter, if you could give us that legal notice.
Yes. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2025, at 7:05 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Pro Generation Energy, Inc. on behalf of property owner Sandbanks LLC for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands and isolated land subject to flooding at 152 Stedman Street, further identified as Assessor Parcel Map 32, Block 110, Lot 1. The project entails installation of solar photovoltaic system on top of capped solid waste landfill on the property.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. All right, and now we'll have a presentation from the applicant.
Oh,
Do we have representatives? No?
That's a
he's not
continued,
here,
right?
so they have not paid the filing fee.
Okay.
They have not notified abutters, so they
Okay.
have requested a continuance.
All right, sounds good.
that was
So then I could have a motion then to continue this matter until our next meeting of August 26, 2025.
I make a motion to
Oh, I'm sorry,
continue.
Mark, go ahead.
Okay, motion by Mark to continue,
Second.
and second by Peter.
Sorry, Al.
Is that right? All those in favor?
Aye.
So very good. That's a quick one then. And then moving right along, we have another notice of intent scheduled for this evening from Avatar Construction, Inc., 242 Billerica Road. We have David Cowell of Hancock Associates listed as representing the applicant. And we also would have a legal notice as well, too. For that matter, Peter, if you could read that legal notice into the record again.
Yes, pursuant to provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, The Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in room 204 in the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 7:10 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Avatar Construction, Inc. on behalf of property owner Toward Independent Learning and Leaving, Inc. for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 242 Billerica Road, further identified as Assessor's Parcel Map 75, Block 291, Lot 52. The project entails construction of a commercial building.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Peter. And now we'll hear from the applicant's representative. Sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff, good evening. Nice to see you all again. Douglas DeShane from Finner and Nicholson, representing Toward Independent Living and Learning, Inc., or TIL. TIL will be the end user of this property. So I'm here this evening in support of Avatar Construction, the notice of intent applicant, company that's going to construct the facility for TIL. As was stated, my client is proposing to construct a new facility at 242 Billerica Road here in Chelmsford. I'd like to just take 1 minute to give you a little bit of information on the proposed use of the building. TIL is a nonprofit educational entity seeking to establish what is known as a dayhabilitation program at this new facility. They will be offering individually centered skill development for people with specialized medical needs, including autism spectrum disorder, learning differences, and acquired brain injuries and other physical endeavors. TIL provides social skills development for its clients through occupational, physical, and speech therapy to allow its patients to function as independently as possible. So this is a day program. People will come during the day. That said, again, the applicant here is Avatar Construction. With me this evening, David Cowell from Hancock Associates, who did the wetlands work on the property. Just to give you a quick overview of the site, it's 242 Billerica Road. It's an undeveloped 1.32 acre site located in your industrial A zone. We are also located within the aquifer protection zone and the groundwater protection zone. Again, the applicant is proposing to develop a 21,500 square foot building to be used by TIL along with associated parking and infrastructure development. The site is serviced by town water and town sewer. The project has been designed, as you will hear shortly, it has been designed to meet the standards, performance standards under both the Wetlands Protection Act as well as the Town of Chelmsford regulations, including conforming to your no disturb and setback requirements. With that, I'd like to turn things over to Mr. Cowell from Hancock Associates, and Dave will give you a quick rundown on the wetland protection aspects of the project. Dave, you good with that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Doug. For the record, I know most of you. My name is David Cowell. I'm a senior wetland scientist with Hancock Associates. Again, here tonight on behalf of Avatar Construction. I can give you a rundown of the wetland resource areas. I would ask, I am relying on you for social media, if you would project the existing conditions plan.
Okay.
All right. Oh, and while I'm at it, I did want to point out that we're sort of a multi-firm, multi-disciplined project team here. So I believe we do have in attendance Giovanni Federa. He's the civil engineer of record on this. So in our discussions tonight, if there's any questions pertaining to stormwater design, site design, or slope stabilization, or any of those civil questions, he would be more suited than I would be. So, all right, this is the existing conditions plan. So you can tell that this is a rectangular lot with frontage to Chelmsford Street, which the development would occur on. At the rear of this lot, there is a bordering vegetated wetland system. You can tell by the topography that the site is you know, not that street, but at the point where the wetland occurs, there's a steep gradient slope. There's a drop that goes down to this bowl-shaped depression at the bottom of the lot, which this
So
wetland
I think
occurs.
it's actually isolated, not bordering.
I didn't. We can look at whether or not it's isolated or not. Yeah, I'm indifferent on
And it doesn't
which one
make-
it is.
Doesn't really make a difference.
That's fine.
I didn't see a connection when I was out.
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't. We didn't delineate as it went off property, and in fact, I didn't delineate this. This was Mary Trudeau. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a senior, highly qualified wetland scientist of her own right. So this was her delineation. So whether or not it's isolated or bordering, I think that we would be subject to the same lines, right? Whether or not a determination is found on isolated or bordering. With that, we have projected the associated buffer zones and setbacks in accordance with the town bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act. The site is undeveloped as it is right now. We did, if you look at the existing conditions plan, you can tell that we did survey locate trees on the property. It's a little bit sparse, but you can see some trees on there. They were not necessarily inventoried by species or diameter at breast height, but it helps quantify species and locate them on the property. With that, I would advance to the development slides, if you don't mind. I appreciate it. So this is it. So the layout is the building with associated parking and circulation around it. As Doug alluded to, we had designed this to conform to all of the local setback requirements. So there's no work proposed at all in the no disturb setback. We've respected the no impervious setback. We do have some work proposed in the what's the distance? Is it 50 or 75 no build? Yep. In the no build zone, there's no building. This is associated with parking in some pavement surface areas, which are, you know, but there's no structures proposed in the no build zone. And then the stormwater design by Giovanni Federa has been designed to conform to all the stormwater management systems, standards. Drawing a blank. And with that, I think that's a general overview, and I would like to turn it over to the Conservation Commission to make the round and answer any questions you may have in hopes of advancing this.
Thank you, Mr. Cowell. Appreciate your
welcome.
comments, and Attorney DeShane's always good to see you here as well. Welcome back. It's been a little while. Bill, let's just start with you for questions.
I'd like to hear a little about the stormwater, as far as you got a little retention area out front, and those.
Yep.
Right?
Now, Giovanni, are you in attendance?
I am present.
Oh,
I'm
great.
here. My name is Giovanni Federa.
Thank you.
The principal engineer of Federa Engineering. And this was designed with 2 BMP systems. In the front of the building, we have the that infiltration basin, which will be capturing the roof runoff. So the entire roof will be directed right there. We did soil tests around the site with 10 different test pits, and it was all sandy soils, and it all came about the same for each test pit. So in that specific area, we had sandy soils, and that's where we had the infiltration basin, and that had an overflow that gets directed to the subsurface infiltration system, which is on the east of the site, which if you're looking at this page, it's on just right below the building, between the property lines and under the parking lot. It's that rectangular area. So that is made up of 300-gallon dry wells. I believe there is 72, if I remember correctly, but it's a significant size, and it's able to withstand a 100-year storm. So all the runoff from the entire on-site impervious areas are being directed to either that first BMP, which is that infiltration basin, or the subsurface infiltration system. And from the asphalt, it's all getting captured by catch basins that get routed to it's called a Unistorm. It's made by Shea. It's a proprietary treatment device that captures 90% TSS removal. So before it gets infiltrated from these BMPs, the runoff is being treated from that Unistorm device, and it's well over 90% TSS removal between it's the deep sump catch basins, which is 25% TSS plus that 90% proprietary treatment. So it's about 97% TSS removal before it gets infiltrated. And as an emergency overflow that's connected to that subsurface infiltration system, it's directed to the north of the site, which is towards the wetlands, which you can tell from the lower right-hand corner of this site. It's right at that 50-foot no-build zone. So that would have an overflow area drain, which in the event of an extreme storm, the water would overflow through there. However, this system is designed to withstand a 100-year storm entirely. That would infiltrate entirely. So there wouldn't be any runoff coming from that overflow system. The only runoff would be from the areas that are behind that retaining wall, right along the 30-foot no impervious zone. So the site, as well as a minor area between that landscaping between the east boundary and that the pavement, there's just a landscaping strip that's a slight overflow towards the wetlands. But overall, we do meet the standards of the peak rate of runoff and water quality as well. So I'm happy to answer any more questions.
Thank you,
Yep.
Giovanni. Bill?
Yeah, you answered everything I needed to know.
And I'll just add, DPW is doing the stormwater review on this one.
Okay.
So hearing will have to be continued for that purpose.
Good. Mark?
What you, on your groundwater observation, what was the depth of the water?
Again,
Depth of the
Giovanni?
water.
Yep, thanks.
Yep.
I'm sorry?
So on sheet, I believe it's sheet C1 or C2. It's on the existing conditions plan. We do have soil profiles of each test pit, and
Okay.
they came around. I'm looking at it right here. They came around. I mean, some of the test pits had over 9 feet, greater than 10 feet. Some of them came in around 84 inches, which is 7 feet. So, between 6 feet down to 10, greater than 10 feet is what they saw the seasonal high water table at. We do have the stormwater systems designed at least 2 feet above the seasonal high water table.
All right. I'm sure in your ground testing, because this ran across before, it's notorious in that area, did you find any PFAS?
I don't know that we even looked for PFAS. Was that included in the testing?
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't believe that was encountered. I'm not sure.
Right. And I don't know that that would normally be picked up in drainage analysis without running screens.
It was an issue before on the building that was done on 290?
Okay.
270.
270. So I'd like to know if, because we had the problem going in the groundwater and not disturbing that. And the groundwater's quite a ways down on this, I understand that.
Right.
But you're still gonna be adding to it when you're disturbing the soil. I wanna make sure that that's, I don't know, can I ask for that?
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah.
Sure.
You can ask.
You can always ask.
Are you asking just what's in the commission's jurisdiction?
Wouldn't that isn't irrelevant to the jurisdiction?
Well, I think it's more irrelevant for the Conservation Commission. I think it's more of an issue with the Planning Board and Health Department, Board of Health.
Okay. Well, everybody was caught by surprise the last time we found out. And I don't want that to
I
happen
mean,
again.
the commission can certainly send a letter to the Board of Health.
Well, we're close to watershed area, and recharge area is for the town wells. I want to make sure that they're protected first of all. That was my question right now.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
Alexander?
In terms of relevant questions, I guess, on the last page here, it looks like you have trash in the back corner of the parking lot. Does that have anything to do with us at all, is where they store trash, or?
Well, it can impact,
it's irrelevant?
water quality and things like that. So we
Sure,
care
so I
about
guess
water
that's my
quality.
question, is that accurate on that last page, or, I mean, is it able to be put somewhere else? Because it looks like it's falling within that 50-foot no-build as well as the 100 wetland buffer in that back corner,
Right.
trash
The-
storage.
Yep, just, I do believe that is where it's proposed now. We can reevaluate and see if there's another place to put it. But again, the proximity is not, I don't want to say it's not relevant, right? But it is, it's occurring on paved surfaces that anything on that would go into the same drainage system that it would anywhere else on the property if we had the trash located elsewhere. It would still feed into the same drainage system, stormwater treatment that we have everywhere on the lot that's paved. So anything that would drain from that area would go into a deep sump catch basin and treatment. No, is that? So it's not a building? No, no.
Any more questions, Alexander?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Swan?
Yeah, just quickly, keying off Ally's question, will one of these drawings show that the contours around that trash can are sloped towards the stormwater infiltration?
It's in the same corner, I think.
Because I'm just looking at the plans now, and I see that's still a slope, but maybe I'm not looking at the right plan.
Are you looking at the grading and drainage plan, or is this, which plan is this?
I have
David?
no idea which one I'm looking at.
Right.
This is.
Giovanni, where should I look to see those
This
contours?
is the construction and erosion control plan.
Right.
So we're showing the stockpile area. The stockpile area would have a separate perimeter of erosion control barrier around it. But once all stabilized, all the contours are pitched from, all the contours from the pavement is pitched towards,
Okay, so
towards the catch basins, yeah.
Okay, so I'll find that when I look closer. Just a couple questions. I'd like to echo Mark's comment. We're still debating whether this board has any authority per se over PFAS, but one of our primary missions here is to protect drinking water, as you all know, under the Wetland Protection Act. So Mark, I vote also for, I think the authority for aquifer protection is our Board of Health, and our planning board, as David mentioned, I advocate we write them a formal request to help us assess that under their regs. Two quick things. I'm glad our DPW engineers are looking at the stormwater plan, but I liked what I saw. I would advocate that there's an annual report on the inspections made to the town, because I think we have a question mark in town about how well our stormwater systems are working 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So that could be a condition, perhaps, David, or put it in the
I
plan.
think there's a stormwater management report.
Yeah,
Yep.
That provides for
yeah. And then,
at least annual, probably semi-annual.
yeah, and finally, David, I apologize, I'm sure it's here. Could you briefly describe the landscape plan? Because there's not a
Oh, yeah.
whole lot of property left.
That's right, no, and the landscape plan isn't here. David, would you mind pulling the landscape plan for us? It was prepared by James Emanuel.
Mhm.
And of the landscape plantings that he has specified in here, I'll give you a moment to,
You don't happen to know
Last
which
page
page
of
of
the-
Oh, is
the
it,
had, like,
am I looking at it? Is it on here?
I forget what sheet it was. I know it was in addition to the set because it was a third party, James Emanuel added it to
It's not part of
James'
the
set.
site plan.
It is in the site plan. It should be further on if you scroll down.
Well, but I think this is the last page.
Oh, wait,
of the site.
landscape plan, there is, wait, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
one last page, last two
Thank
pages.
Ally found it, I'm sorry.
I saw the trees, I thought of you, so.
Does it specify which sheet it
I'm
is, or
sorry. No,
maybe
hang on.
David can pull it up?
Yeah, it's,
It would be after the construction details.
Yeah, so keep going, keep scrolling down. Planometric, yep, keep
L1.
going.
It's the last page.
These are all spec detail sheets.
I think this is it.
I think that's it, yep. So there is a native planting table at the top left, and then most of the plantings are along the marginal sides of the parking and in the front of the building around the detention basin.
Okay, so the circle, excuse me, the circles with the 3 lines going to the center of the circle are hardwood, wait a minute, hardwood stake. Are those trees, I gather? And is it shrubs in between? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes, I believe that's
Got it.
correct.
Thank you.
If I could,
Oh, please, Doug.
Mr. Spawn, they've marked each of the trees, and then we've got our tree listing here. So for instance, this elm, this marked ELM is in fact a
Yep.
Princeton elm. And then they've separately described the shrubs here. So,
Yeah.
there's a corresponding name and
Right.
number for
I
each.
mean, the simple answer is the plan is to plant things wherever you can on the
Well,
site,
that's true.
which
Pretty
is
much.
basically the perimeter.
Right.
Pretty
got it.
much in the front.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all my questions.
Thanks, Peter. And let's hear from our conservation agent. David?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So, this plan certainly appears to comply with all the regulations. Again, we'll wait for DPW's review of stormwater. I don't anticipate any issues. My main issue of concern, and what I wanted to talk a little bit about, is the removal of the trees. So, I haven't actually done a count of the trees that are being removed in the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. But I think it's fair to say, I'm actually surprised Peter didn't bring this up, what he did with the landscape plan, that there is really increasing concern in town right now about removal of trees. I've lost a lot of trees on recent projects, and more trees to come in projects that are being proposed. My first question would be, and we actually touched upon this already. So this area up here that I'm circling,
Yep.
is that the area proposed for the dumpster?
It was the bottom corner, sorry.
So,
No.
okay, so what is this area up here?
Excuse me.
That's, sorry, okay. That's a temporary stockpile area. I don't know which sheet you're on now, again,
Yeah, this,
but that's a temporary stockpile area. Oh,
Well,
go
but
ahead, Doug.
but
You
it's
wanna-
shown as
go
pavement.
back.
It will be paved, yeah. No, that's part of the footprint of development. Yep, this is
Okay.
better, right.
So
So-
here is the proposed dumpster,
Right, okay.
which we will
So,
look to remove.
sorry, I
That
had
last,
that wrong.
what that last plan showed you, and I think Giovanni may have mentioned it, is during the construction, they're gonna propose a materials storage area here, which has its own erosion control, separate erosion control.
Right, but it's part of the development footprint. It
Right.
looks like it's gonna be
Yes, it will
permanent.
be paved.
Why, is that necessary, that area up there? Because that's responsible for the removal of a bunch of trees.
Yep.
You see?
It is, a lot of this is driven by the requirements for parking and circulation around the building. So that is currently proposed for development, for parking spots. It should be on one of the other civil sheets. But I did, just before the hearing, I imagined that this question would come up. So I actually looked at the plan and I quantified that I believe there's 9 trees in the no-build zone and roughly 17 trees in the 100-foot buffer zone. So what's that, 17 and 8, 26 trees total by my interpretation of the plan, give or take a tree or two.
Let me ask you this. I mean, there is proposed to be some planting of trees in the landscape plan. You know, that purpose obviously isn't primarily habitat. But I was out on the site for quite a while last week, and I'm wondering, could additional trees be planted in the buffer zone outside the area development?
Yep, David, I think that's a fair question, and I'd be happy to look into that. Again, I haven't been to the site, so I don't know what the condition of that slope is, to what degree it's bare, to what degree it's vegetated, to
There
what
are a lot
degree
of
it's
trees out
invasive
there.
species or non-invasives.
Yeah.
But, no, and again, looking to my clients, I don't think that that's an unreasonable request where we could possibly ask James Emanuel to look at another 10 native trees inside the buffer zone. Beyond that, that is a retaining wall, so there is an abrupt stop of our work as it transitioned into the lower zones associated with that wetland. So,
And ideally, I'd like to see a one-for-one replacement.
Okay.
And I'm happy to meet out on site with you or anyone else to take a look at that. But I think that would certainly go a long way in satisfying my concerns if
Okay.
that could be
Yep.
done.
oh, good, please do.
David, can I ask a quick question, just so for my own understanding? Could we go back to the site that shows the pavement, the final proposed pavement? Here we go. So, is this the area that you would look for us to plant, or actually
Well, on the
step-
slope, yeah, I think
Right
just to the
along
right
the
of that on the
slope there.
slope. I think, I mean, it's a little shaded, but I think that there are a number of species which would grow and become established there.
Sure, okay.
Obviously, we'd have to.
Yeah, no,
work
I
with the
think
botanist.
that's a great idea. I just wanted to make sure where you were suggesting they go, so be along that slope. Okay.
Can Peter jump in?
Yeah, Peter.
And while we're discussing this, David, if you're gonna take a look, or maybe the two Davids look at it, whatever, the laydown area, that back corner, obviously if you pile material there, you're gonna have trouble growing trees on it without something for the soil. But you also mentioned you needed that back, I'm talking about that back corner.
This up here?
Yeah, the
This one?
pavement.
Yep.
You also mentioned that you thought you needed that space possibly for parking
Yep,
to meet town. So if it's parking to meet town rules,
right.
I would be thrilled if the collective we, Till and you guys and the town, take a hard look at whether we really need all that parking. I mean, if you do, you do, but is there any opportunity, if you're simply trying to meet the town rule, is there any opportunity to put a couple trees there?
Actually, we are already asking the planning board for a waiver of parking,
Okay,
given the fact that our patients, our clients, do not drive. There's shuttle service,
Right.
there's pickup vans, there's all of that. We have actually asked for a reduction in parking to the minimum, not even to meet the bylaw, but the minimum that we know we need for the facility. The
Okay.
other thing I know to be a problem, and we will look into this, Peter, I will, is as you can see, maybe it's clearer here, one of the things we have to maintain is that circular around the building, which requires, a 24-foot thing. So you can see we're kind of getting a little pinched in here.
right.
But we can look at whether or not this back corner is in fact parking that we could move or to, I know what you're saying. Can we look at, pulling out of here? And we will.
Can I chime in a little bit here? So that back, if you want to scroll up to the page above, I think it's sheet C3. This shows the parking layout. So you can see the spots numbered 1 through 22. All the parking spots are outside of the 50-foot no-build zone. That is a requirement to keep all parking outside of 50 feet of the wetlands. So we made sure that we were outside of that. So that back corner where you see S9, that is a recreational area for the clients of the building.
Oh, so it's not paved?
It will be paved, but it's not going to be used for parking. It's going to be fenced in, and it's a recreational area for whatever they'll be doing outside.
See if
But it's not a parking area.
See if your customers can meet their clients' recreation needs if there's a few trees there somewhere. How about that?
And it's not paved.
All right, so just speaking kind of for the full commission here, all right? I mean, I think it's clear that really commission unanimously You know, trees are good. It's one of our hot buttons, one of our concerns. I think we all want to try to maximize trees if we can. And again, another hot button of concern, PFAS is bad. We've had some experiences around PFAS in the past, so anything we can do to minimize and avoid PFAS type issues, the more we know about it, the better. So, just highlighting
Sure.
those two.
Thank you, Chris.
Any other questions, comments? It is a public hearing, so anybody in the public has, want to come in? I don't see a lot of folks out there, either in person or not. So we're here today. It sounds like we've got some follow-up for the commission. Our next meeting is August 26th, 2025. I'd be looking for a motion then from the commission to continue this public hearing until that next meeting of August 26th. Peter, looks like he's nodding his head for a motion there.
I move to move the hearing till the next date.
Okay, and
Sorry.
Ally, I think you were about to leap in and
Yes,
second that.
second, yes.
I was hoping you'd do it the other way around. Pay
Next
attention.
time, next time. Any discussion before we move to continue?
So what are we looking for from them so that we can move this along?
Well, we're looking for more information about, from the DPW.
We're looking for the
right?
stormwater, the DPW stormwater review, where we're looking for hopefully a proposed, a tree planting plan, for, the buffer zone, that, the area that's not being developed.
One for one type of plan, basically, you know, we don't want to have net loss of trees.
Yep, yep. So I think that's all the information we need from the.
I'd like to have some information from the Chelmsford Water District and the East Chelmsford Water District.
Particularly around the PFAS and potential impact upon our drinking water, which
Right.
we care a lot about.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark, just specifically, as I'm trying to outline the next progressive steps, what sort of formal communication would that be, or, you know, I'm just trying to,
Well, that was the route I was kind of told to go down, because I was concerned about PFAS. And we're not gonna get that information from Conservation. Board of Health or the water districts probably could ask for it.
oh, right, okay. And I understand, and that stems back to Dave's communication that he would make a recommendation to Board of Health.
Actually, it's a question for Doug. So Doug, does this project need either a, is this be a special permit from the planning board for the aquifer protection zone?
Yes.
Okay, so that I think would be the most appropriate for them. And what about something from the Board of Health under the groundwater protection zone? So I think this issue should be raised, or it's more appropriately raised in those two forums.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. As some of you may know, I actually was on the project team for the 270 Barica Road project. So I've also been well educated on PFAS and its impacts. So I am completely understanding of what you're asking us to do, and we fully expected to be addressing that issue with the planning board. We have our first hearing with them, by the way, tomorrow night. So I'll make sure to raise your concerns to them tomorrow night.
Good.
And
We
I
will
can-
get you that information.
I can raise them with Jovan as well.
All right.
Good. Excellent. All right, good. Good, so, yeah, so I think we're ready to continue to our next meeting, which is coming up on August 26th. And
So
we
we-
had a motion already, right?
Yep.
Peter?
Yep.
And
So
Ally?
vote.
So you were about to vote, and you jumped in with a question. All right, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
We'll see you
Yep.
in a couple
We'll
of
see you in a
weeks.
few
Thank
weeks.
you.
Great.
You threw me off there. You threw me off of that. Like, oh, we got a motion from these guys. There it is.
I just want to move it along.
Yeah.
Good.
Keep moving,
Keep moving.
so if they know what they need.
Exactly. All right, moving on along our agenda under regulatory hearings. The next item that we have here, that I have, is a request for determination of applicability related to Maple Multifamily Land SE LP 255 Princeton Street, Mark Arnold / Goddard Consulting LC, listed as representing the applicant. And we would also have another legal notice that we'd want to put into the record as well. So Peter, if you could read that notice into the record for us?
Yes, sir. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, and the Chelmsford Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 187, the Chelmsford Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing in Room 204 at the Chelmsford Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Maple Multifamily Land, SE, LP, on behalf of property owner CHMF BTH III / Boston Chelmsford LLC for proposed work within the bordering vegetated wetlands and associated 100-foot buffer zone in the conservation restriction area at 255 Princeton Street, further identified as Assessor's Parcel Map 20, Block 74, Lot 1. The project entails invasive species management, including hand removal and chemical management.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Now have a presentation from the applicant.
Awesome. So my name is Mitch Maslanka. I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. So my colleague Mark Arnold was unable to attend tonight, so I'm covering for him. So this evening we're representing the applicants to, we filed a request for determination of applicability to request the commission approve an invasive species management plan to treat invasive species within a conservation restriction that is being drafted and soon to be put in place on the site. The conservation restriction is about 16 acres in, or my bad, 6.75 acres of land on the property. It's very close to Princeton Road. So there's probably in some areas maybe 50 feet between Princeton Road is a bordering vegetated wetland. Some areas are even closer to the road than that. The bordering vegetated wetlands, it almost makes up the entirety of the conservation restriction. So the dominant vegetation in that area so far is mainly cattails, cattail marsh for quite a large area. And then there's 2 ponds on either end of the cattail marsh. Adjacent to that is some bordering vegetated wetlands in the form of forested BVW. So what the applicant has prepared is an invasive species management plan to satisfy one of the conservation restrictions requirements to implement ISMP, working with the Conservation Commission to have one approved for that CR. So what has been proposed in the ISMP, Invasive Species Management Plan, was treatment of Japanese knotweed to remove that both mechanically and chemically from the area. At this time, there is no Japanese knotweed on site. However, knowing construction projects and their post-development phases, Japanese knotweed does tend to encroach into natural lands adjacent to recently disturbed areas. So the invasive species management plan has been put in, has been drafted so that if Japanese knotweed were to begin to encroach into the bordering vegetated wetlands in the CR, we would have a plan to be able to implement to treat that Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed has been observed to impact bordering vegetated wetlands because of its, it doesn't have a wetland indicator status, whereas glossy buckthorn is known as a facultative species, so that would still trigger wetland boundaries to be bordering vegetated wetlands. Whereas Japanese knotweed, if it's begun to dominate a bordering vegetated wetland area, we would, as wetland scientists, have to flag that area as upland based on a dominance of upland vegetation. So with that being said, the ISMP has been put together to prevent those circumstances from happening, to keep the CR in a bordering vegetated wetland state in perpetuity with the conservation restriction. So with that said, we have filed an RDA for this per the agent's recommendation, which would have an expiration date of 3 years. We were hoping for maybe a 5-year, if that's possible, in order to have that ISMP locked in for a longer period of time. So that concludes my presentation, and I'd love to hear from the commission.
Great, well, thank you very much, we appreciate it. Again, certainly invasive management's a hot button for us and a concern, so we're, always look favorably generally to invasive management plans that come in front of us. But let's jump down, we'll mix it up a bit, let's jump down to our conservation agent, and Mr. Coons, do you have anything to say at this point?
Sure. Mitch, first question is, what would be the product or products, both, sort of generic and brand names that would be used to treat the knotweed?
So as I am not a licensed herbicide applicator, I am not aware of what the specific brand name would be, but we'd want one that would break down immediately or fast in contact with soil or water. So we would recommend that in the ISMP it be clear that whatever herbicide be used, it be approved by the commission before use and verified by a licensed herbicide applicator that it is going to be safe for use in a bordering vegetated wetland.
And there are, products, like Roundup. There's a variation of Roundup that's to be used in aquatic habitats. So that, I think that would be the kind of information that that the commission would want. Would there be any possibility, maybe over time, to expand the invasive management plan to species other than the knotweed? Certainly, plenty of bittersweet out there. You mentioned there's buckthorn. That would be really good to have. And hand removal is included in the management plan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can't answer that.
Yeah, I can bring it to the project team, see what they think would be appropriate if expanding the scope from knotweed would be something that they are favorable toward.
That would be great if that's possible. It would also be really good to have some sort of reporting. Do you know, would this be done probably like once a year? Knotweed is typically like September, something like that, right? When it flowers.
Yep.
So there'd probably be like one treatment event per year in that time frame. And I think it would be an appropriate condition to put in the determination that the commission gets some kind of a report, after each treatment event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in Mark's ISMP he mentioned 2 treatments of herbicide per year, and then an annual report in November to report on the success of those treatments.
Okay, that would be good.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. On to you, Mr. Small.
Yeah, my first question, which you may not be able to answer, I was not here when this was approved. How do we end up with just knotweed mentioned rather than invasives in general?
We remember our site walk. I don't know, were you with us at that point? We had a site walk out on that site, and we almost lost. I wish Carl was here tonight because
okay,
he
that's
was
enough.
probably
I
the
know.
only one that got out of that site walk without getting entangled in the briars. We almost lost our chairman. Literally, our chairman tripped, went down, ended up wrapped with bittersweet all around him, and if it wasn't for a very modest man here, Bill literally had to lift the chairman up, throw him over his shoulder in a fireman's carry, and dragged him safely off the site. But we remember going out there. It wasn't just the knotweed. It was like the vines, the entanglements, the bittersweet, and all that.
So, but the important thing is, are there photographs?
It's a private collection.
So but it sounds like knotweed ended up as the permit condition, right? And you're suggesting or asking the question.
Yeah, I mean, there's no knotweed out there right now.
So why not go after some of the others is the question.
Yeah,
but maybe,
that's a very good question.
Maybe that boat has sailed.
No, I hope it hasn't, because we really wanted action to address that, really. So you can take that back.
Will do, yes.
Okay, second question is,
Remember that?
Yeah. That's-
I read the plan and I got a little bit confused. Is foliar spray, the question is, foliar spray is last resort? Because first the plan says we're gonna cut and treat. So to me, that's the old, you know this better than I, cut the stems, treat the stems. Then later it talks about foliar spray, which raises a ton of questions, right? Particularly if there's people living nearby. So that's sort of one question, is maybe the plan could simply say foliar spray under what conditions? Or last resort, or help me out here, David, you know more about it.
I think the way, and maybe Mitch can confirm or not, I think the way this typically works is that the licensed herbicide applicator goes out and takes an initial look and then makes a determination about what method or methods will best be used in any particular situation.
Right, but it seems like it would be easier for that, there'd be an incentive for that person to just spray and run, rather than hack and go back for the stems. So, again, I don't have any experience with a licensed applicator, but that's my question. And I just had one other, maybe it's here, I don't know, but the whole goal is to try to help native species return. It'd be nice if, probably you have that expertise to quickly look after the treatment, maybe once a year, and let us know, like, is it working? I mean, we're not just trying to kill this stuff, we're trying to get better stuff to grow, and it'd be nice to know that in the report. Maybe it's mentioned, but that would be my thought.
Yeah, I can address those too. So,
Right. I mean, you feel the same way, you want to know if it's working.
So,
Well, you just mentioned that an annual report is included in the.
Well, yeah, but I didn't see anything that said what's in the annual report.
Well, that should definitely include it, yeah.
Well, right, but I mean,
You know,
it'd
the effect.
be nice to say that
Yeah.
in the RDA.
Yeah, we can revise
Or
the
the
report to beef up that section. Right now, it says monitoring reports shall describe using narratives, plans, and color photographs the physical characteristics of the management areas on site. So we could put in specifically that.
Is it working?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know the picture, I know the thinking, the pictures, and we ought to be able to figure it out, but we don't have your expertise to look at a bunch of pictures and decide if it's working or not.
Right, yep.
And you guys do.
Yes, we can do that.
Thanks, Peter.
And
Thank
then to your other point about the foliar versus the cut stem treatment, Mark has written in here that for the smallest knotweed, it would be, we'd hand pick those. For the next category of smallest knotweed, the stem injection might not be a suitable way to use the herbicide because of it might just not be able to take in the herbicide and bring it back down to its roots. So that's where the foliar would come into place. And then for the larger stemmed knotweed, the tallest ones, that's where we'd be able to do the cut stem injection.
I guess that was one of my final questions. Who supervises this? Maybe it's in the plan and I missed it, but the idea is if it's a wetland scientist working with the applicator, then we have, I think, better assurance.
Yep,
You
we
know,
put
if
that
I
in
was just
there.
an applicator with no supervision and I was pressed for time, I'd just spray it and run.
Yeah, right, yeah. We put in the supervision and monitoring section, all invasive species management activities shall be supervised by qualified wetland scientists.
So thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Ms. Hayden?
No, thank you.
Nothing? Good. Mr. Gibbs?
I just need a little clarification. When we approved this project 3 years ago, whatever it was, on our RDA, we didn't specify that we wanted to kill invasives. We were gonna kill one particular specimen.
I find that hard to believe. I really do. Can we check the files?
Can we check the what?
I mean, my understanding was that we wanted to got an all-out attack against the invasives that were out there. We weren't just picking knotweed that wasn't there, so it just doesn't.
I know there's nothing in the order of conditions that addresses that particular issue. It does say that they need to file an RDA for an invasive species management plan.
Okay, but I don't think we're limited to just knotweed only.
Well, I think ultimately it's up to the property owner and management company. I don't know if the commission, as a condition, could require that additional species be.
I just remember countless meetings with the developers. I mean, we had meetings with the selectmen, these were, and I was there because I was chairman at the time. We had numerous meetings and many promises and commitments and plans, and it was always specified. There was gonna be a comprehensive invasive management plan. That was one of the big benefits to the town. There were a lot of benefits with the project, but that was one of the benefits we saw from a Conservation Commission, was having a, really good plan. So certainly if it was just something to attack knotweeds that aren't there, that's not what we negotiated and fought for, like the years back. when we
I can
approved this.
certainly make that point. I know
Yeah.
both the developer and their attorney, quite well at this point.
Exactly.
I can certainly.
Yeah, and they should
raise
remember
that.
all those, because it was, I mean, there were all types of, we worked it out. It was really a partnership type thing, and it worked out really well. The town partnered up with the developer, came up with good plans, and it was approved. We had a lot of votes from the different boards and town meeting, et cetera, so. Yeah, if you could follow up, because I remember it well. We remember doing the sidewalk out there. That was memorable as well. We were out there. So anyway, thank you.
Well, do you want to go so far as to keep the hearing open, pending an answer to that
Yeah,
question?
I would. Yeah, I'd like to get an answer to that, yeah.
It doesn't seem we'd be that short-sighted.
No, exactly, yeah. Mark, anything more?
No, I'll ask more questions when we get more information, application treatments, things like that.
I mean, we had some details. I mean, I thought, David had some good questions about, like, a little more detail about the brand names of the herbicides. It's always nice to know. A little bit more information, a little bit more clarification around some of the reporting, things like that. So we had, I think we have, some room for, more information. Very good presentation, I'd say, but.
And I don't see any showstopper issues with, the general proposal.
Absolutely not. This is the type of thing, I wish we had more, situation where people are coming in proposing invasive management programs and having a technical expertise that we're hearing tonight for it. Honestly, it's exciting. Yeah.
Just ask one quick question.
Yeah.
What you're presenting, are you asking for an IDA for what you're doing? Are you working off the IDA from the original construction?
So this is a brand-new file.
What happened to the IDA that was put on there for invasive control, things like that?
I actually was unaware if there was.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mark.
Did we ask that question?
I'm pretty sure, my recollection is that it was like a full notice of intent.
Yeah, it was a notice of intent for
Yeah.
construction of the project.
Right.
And there was a condition in there that says an invasive management plan shall require filing of an RDA.
This will supplement that.
Something's missing, though. It doesn't seem like.
I would have thought there'd been more details, but nevertheless, this is an opportunity to supplement that, come in with something that's better.
I certainly, I sort of came in, after this whole project started.
You came in after that, exactly.
Yeah, I was unaware of the issue with, the commission's concern about additional species.
Right.
Minor
And
treated.
we did, I think we even had a gap period where we didn't have the benefits of our.
But I certainly think that concern could be addressed as part of this process.
Yeah, and like you said, we have the contacts with the attorney, the engineers, the team. So, it was a really good team, and they really wanted to partner with us.
And I know that Goddard does a lot of invasive management, so they certainly have the capability to do
Yeah.
additional species.
Yeah. So, as David said, we're in support of this. This is something really good. We just want to get a little bit more information and make sure it's the best
Right.
for us.
That's all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, so are you asking for something more comprehensive than just the knotweed?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those vines out there were unbelievable. The bittersweet was really bad. When you drive by, you and I drive by, I drive by half a dozen times every day in and out of that street. You can see the stuff from the road.
Right.
The invasives have not gone away.
Mhm.
They're choking it out, and it's gonna be a benefit to everybody, the residents that are there, the neighbors, the animal, wildlife too. So, yeah, I would just suggest we just continue this to our next meeting, get some more information, and, yeah, we wanna address more than just the knotweed.
So that means to do something more comprehensive, that the ISMP, the Invasive Species Management Plan, will need to be revised.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
is that what the commission's asking?
yeah, yeah.
But not greatly. The revisions are adding species, and that, if anyone wants to humor my suggestion for the experts to tell us if it's working.
Yeah, I actually think most of the bittersweet out there can probably be removed by hand. I mean, that's manual labor by somebody, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think Peter's probably right. It's just a matter of adding additional species into the plan, and then, specifically, then when it comes time to actually doing the work, then the licensed herbicide applicator and whoever else is involved, can come up with specific methods. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think that'd be really
Yeah,
good.
so it's not a lot of work on behalf of the applicant,
No.
other than answer these questions, right?
Yeah, I'll slightly revise the report to include,
Yeah.
this is pending my discussions with the applicant too, because it can be a large cost to implement such a large program like that. So I imagine if we were to do more species, it'd probably be, some sort of phased approach rather than doing the entire thing all at once, because it is 6.75 acres, so with it being so large of an area, we might target certain areas per year for the duration of the RDA.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, that's a very good point, and I think you carried the message well, is we'd like to keep a friendly working relationship with everybody. We know you can't do 6 acres of bittersweet for the same price as half a day of cutting and spraying knotweed that's not even there. I mean, so we need to recognize that.
I mean,
think.
Warren Pole is a lot larger than 6.75 acres. That's a multi-year program.
Right.
Yeah. No, so you understand where we're coming from?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, good, Mitch, good. So, good. So if we can get a motion to continue this hearing until August 26th, that'd be good.
So move.
What do I say? I've never done this.
Second. Oh,
I
second.
guess always second,
Second,
yeah.
yes.
I thought you meant motion, sorry. I was like, making a motion, what?
He's a great coach
All right,
here,
yeah.
so go ahead.
Second, yes.
Second, all right. And any discussion?
Any more?
Any more? So no discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, none unanimous. So we'll see you again, Mitch. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you,
Appreciate the
Commission.
information.
Catch you guys
Sorry
later.
for the wait.
Thank
It
you.
was kind of a
No
long
worries,
meeting
no
tonight,
worries.
but we're glad you were
Good
here.
show.
Yeah, it was, that's for sure. All right, so then moving right along here, that was our last item on our regulatory hearing list for this evening was a notice of intent that was continued from our July 22nd, 2025 meeting with respect to the 265, 279 Chelmsford Street and 20 Manahan Street, 3 Katrina Road, and we had received, do you want to take it here, David?
Yeah,
We
so
received a notice?
the applicant has requested a continuance to September 9th for this one. I'm not sure what's pending, what additional information they're waiting for, or they have to provide. Have not received the DPW's stormwater report or stormwater review yet, so.
All right.
But
So we
anyway,
can-
that's what they've asked for.
So we can move this without any testimony or any comment to September 9th. Can we have a motion to that effect?
What do I say?
You just say, I'm so moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Yes, thank you.
And so that was a motion to continue to September 9th, and I need a second for
Second.
Mark Gibbs on the second. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? Unanimous. So that takes us through our regulatory matters, now being almost 9:15 at night. We move on to discussion items, which is, yeah, you thought we were going to be out of here a little earlier than that, and I don't think so. There's a lot on this agenda tonight. We have a discussion, update on the Freeman Lake parcel boundary surveys from our agent.
So all the preliminary work's been done. It turned out they had to order the granite bounds, and that's what they're waiting for. As soon as they get those, they're gonna be installed.
Good? Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. Thanks, David. Good, all right, so we covered that item. Then moving on to land management. So we're going to do our conservation site update from the commissioners. We'll just kind of roll through the commissioners. Maybe we'll go back to Bill. Bill, just an update.
Yeah, Carl gave me a few things he told me about, because he knew he wasn't going to be here. There was some work done by the volunteer stewards at the lime quarry, some cutting of, in the parking area. Also at the cranberry bog, the parking area was weed whacked and done. Coulisses, there was a crew out at Coulisses yesterday cutting the grass up to the trails and the picnic area and out front, in the front of the site. Warren Pole, there was a large work party there a week and a half or two ago, removing some logs and things along the Woodland Trail that needed done. So there was quite a few people there that day doing that. Oak Hill, the coyotes are still pretty active up at Oak Hill.
Really?
I've heard from some people that were very loud and they're around. And one of the stewards up at Oak Hill told me that he saw a bear up there not too long ago. So there's bears in there, a bear in there.
Just one,
One decent size, he said. So that's about it, I guess, on all that.
That's good. All right, good. Thanks for that.
Oh, also, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I forgot,
Go.
over at the soccer fields.
Oh, yeah, soccer fields.
Yeah. The
Russell Mill.
Russell Mill. Kyle met with DPW over there because there was a lot of brush when you first drove in. DPW's cleaned some of that brush out the next day, actually, and then they've got things planned for the parking area when you first drive in on the left. There's a lot of trees hanging over to trim those trees back and cut some of that, so
Good.
Kyle's working with DPW on that, and well, that's it.
Good, good. I got a quick update. Cranberry, no, excuse me, Crooked Spring, down the street from my house, Crooked Spring, looking good. I mean, it's looking good. There's volunteers been out there keeping the trails wide, kind of widening them a bit, because you're always fighting that battle against, brush kind of creeping in on you. So
Right.
the volunteers have been keeping the trails clear, and the parking lot's been looking good. So good news out of Crooked Spring. Mark, anything you want to give us?
Nothing on Red Wing, but Bill mentioned about the brush cut in the parking lot area there. Yeah, at Lime Quarry.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, Alexander, anything? Nothing? No, good. Peter?
Yeah, I'm going to give an update on Thanksgiving Forest from our steward, Jeff Booton, because he writes these wonderful updates, so he does all the work here, but he's keeping a good eye on the place. Another tree down, and the call was made through our new process, but apparently somebody cleaned it up before anybody could get there, so there's some nice community involvement. Jeff reports on a vernal pool that's in that forest, so that's good. We're paying attention to those. The brook, the Great Brook, has zero flow rate the last few weeks, as he's observed at Thanksgiving Forest, which certainly has an impact on habitat that we, of course, don't measure and don't really know what that means. There was an issue with an unleashed dog that apparently was resolved with the help of our animal control officer. So I think that is a positive sign, people in town working together. And the stewards continue to mow the grass and get their new garden rolling. And one interesting thing is, well, we'd like to publicize Jeff's trail cams under a Conservation Commission banner. He's agreed to that.
Good.
So we'll get to that in a minute, or at a future meeting. So,
Good.
thank you.
Good, all right, and Mr. Coombs?
So a couple of things. First thing is that, I guess mainly Mark and Peter will have an interest in this. On Thursday at noon in room 200, the Board of Health consultant for the gap analysis will be giving an update on how that's going, so certainly welcome to attend.
Time again?
At noon in room 200 here.
Okay.
It's only an update. I mean, there's not going to be, a discussion about,
Yeah.
what you should be doing.
Are you going?
I'm going, yes.
Could you, I can't go, could you see if there's a slide deck or?
I
don't know if
will.
it'd
I
be that formal.
I don't think there's going to be, but I'll look
Okay.
into that.
Thank you.
Then just the only other thing is, going back to Murphy's Field, I gave Chelmsford Youth Soccer Association permission to put in like half a dozen nets along the field closest to the parking lot, because I guess soccer balls keep going out of that and hitting cars.
Hitting cars.
So,
We don't want
so I
that.
told them they can go ahead and put in some nets
That's
to
good.
stop that.
Good, good. Just one thing that came to my mind, too. So August 28th at 9 a.m., the DEP representative is going to come out to Freeman Lake. You're going to be there, right?
Yes.
So David will be there. We need at least one Conservation
Is
Commissioner.
it going to the lake?
Yeah.
I think it's what,
Yes.
usually at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
last
think
time
that-
it was at the beach.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
so at 9 o'clock at the beach,
Yeah.
August 28th. I can't be here, I've got a court appointment that morning that I gotta go to, but
I
Bill,
think I
you're
can
interested,
go.
right? So
Yeah,
Bill, you're
I'll go.
good.
I
And
think Kyle might,
Carl definitely interested.
yeah.
As well. So anyway, we'll just report back. I'll send an email off copying, everybody. And I'll send it to Carl and kind of give him an update on that, because he was asking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty simple and straightforward from the commission's perspective. It's more on the appellant. They're going to have to explain why they think the commission did such a
Burden,
lousy
yeah, the
job.
burden's on the appellant, exactly. The burden, yeah.
I'll tell you, we went, I know Chris saw it too, we went up there when they were running the machine on the lake.
I was there
Those
too.
2 days.
That was really cool.
It
I mean,
was-
that machine was really cool to see that thing in action.
Yeah,
right?
it was, it moved faster than I thought it was going to. And they set up at the beach, and they had a trailer that backed into the water, and the machine's like a paddle boat
Like a paddle boat. Yeah, it looked
with
like
a
an
conveyor
old-fashioned
belt on
paddle
it.
boat, yeah.
It picks up the weed, pulls weeds, and it puts it right into the boat, and then they pull up to the trailer. It's one guy goes up to the trailer, it turns the conveyor belt the other way, and it all goes into the trailer. And they hauled a lot of trailer loads out of
They did?
there. They did by the beach.
And it takes everything, right?
Ye-
Not just the
Yeah.
invasives.
They went by, they did the beach area first, then they went out in the middle. They did a few different areas. They only had it for 2 days, so. But it was kind of impressive the way it worked.
I mean, they had that thing running a good 8 hours each day,
Yeah.
so.
Did you see the material they were pulling out?
Huh?
Were they pulling any roots out or just pulling out the tops of the plants?
It's hard I didn't really go up that close to,
I wasn't close enough.
Yeah.
When I saw it, it was like offshore, it was actually on the beach and offshore a little bit. I didn't get up close. to
yeah, I
see
didn't get
it.
up close enough to really study it.
But it's the same question we're asking at the Princeton Properties project is, is it working? The goal isn't to get the
Right,
weeds out.
right,
The goal
right.
is to restore the
Right.
ecosystem and. so-
And that's a good point. So we really should get some sort of follow-up. I'm sure we're gonna hear from,
Yeah.
from
I think that's the
DPW.
plan.
Yeah.
That's the point, to having the
Yeah.
consultant.
Yeah,
down
we're gonna
the
get a
road.
follow, I'm sure we'll get follow-up on how successful or not
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, there's going to be a year-end, or later in the season, survey and report on the
Yeah.
effectiveness.
Yeah, it'll be good. And some of the neighbors were out there as well, too, observing what was going on.
Yeah, and
There's keen interest.
I don't want to keep harping on it, but,
There
just
was a
hacking of
newspaper story.
bases. What's that?
There was a newspaper story. about
Yeah,
it.
Lowell
Sun?
Sun had a page
Oh, did
one
they?
article on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it came out, a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually gonna track that down. So anyway, so that's some more information there on valuable, let's see, what else? We covered our updates, agents report we just had. So now we're just going to Vivian's favorite part of the meeting, which is when we review and approve the minutes.
I think Vivian's favorite part is the end.
Well, next, yeah, that is true. Anyway, so we got our June 10th minutes and our June 24th minutes, and these guys were comprehensive as always. We have 8 pages on June 10th.
That's down from 12.
Yeah. Yeah, but today we're gonna be pushing it up a bit.
Yes, you are.
We are.
Where am I at? No, actually, I'm only at 10.
Ah, okay. Considering. Anyway, so let's focus on, take a minute or two to look at June 10th. I'm glad you got the note about Mr. Pat Flaherty passing away. I'm glad you captured that.
That was sad.
One of our favorites over the years.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
I make a motion that we approved June 10th minutes.
All right, motion by Mark to approve June
Second.
10th, seconded by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Unanimous. All right, so June 10th, approved. Now we're moving on to the minutes of June 24th, 2025. We had full attendance at that meeting, which is always good. And let's see, how many pages we have there? That was only 5 pages, or 4.5 pages.
Piece of cake.
You got note, page 3, we had the failed motion on the fire tower. That was correct. Motion failed, 313.
Nothing come back from the CCR?
No, haven't heard anything.
Well, you think they're just gonna forget about it?
For a while.
Maybe for this year, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So anyway, do we have a motion then for June 24th, 2025?
I make a motion on June 26 minutes get approved.
Motion by Mark.
Second.
Alexandra, on the second. All those in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Unanimous. And then we come to the end of, now we come to Vivian's favorite part of the meeting, the motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Peter, on the motion,
Second.
seconded. Alexandra, all those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. The meeting's over. Thank you, everyone.